Welcome to this explainer. Let's just jump right in, because today we're exploring something absolutely crucial, the metacognitive experience of merging your formal meditation practice with the absolute unpredictable chaos of everyday life. We usually think of meditation as this quiet retreat, right? Like a temporary shelter from the world. But what if the ultimate goal isn't to escape the noise at all? What if it's actually about bringing that profound stillness directly into the center of the storm? Okay, let's dive into this.
So why on earth did Sam Harris, a very well-known meditation teacher, explicitly tell people to just stop meditating? I know, at first glance, it sounds like a complete contradiction. No way, right? But it's not a dismissal of the practice. Actually, it's a profound call to stop compartmentalizing our practice into this separate, isolated little activity. He's really talking about tearing down the wall between the time you spend meditating and the time you spend just living. Or, as the traditional literature beautifully puts it, it's about mixing your meditation into your everyday experience.
Because here is the core problem we all face. On one side, we've got the cushion. Think of it like this calm, boundless ocean. You sit down, close your eyes, and boom, you access this incredibly spacious, non-dual awareness. Everything is just arising and passing. You're completely equanimous, super present. It feels fantastic. But then, you stand up. You enter real life. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Your partner says something that hits a nerve. And just like that, that beautiful, boundless ocean you felt on the cushion completely vanishes. It immediately turns into these violent waves that just sweep you away. You don't just feel angry, you literally become the anger. The meditative view is wiped out, and suddenly the cushion and real life feel like two entirely different worlds.
The true test of any contemplative practice is exactly that transition, moving from the silence of formal meditation to the blaring noise of daily life. And it's fascinating, because traditional texts recognized this exact problem centuries ago. They understood that navigating this painful transition, that precise split second when your spaciousness collapses into pure reactivity, well, that is the real work. It's not about how calm you are when literally nothing is happening. It's about what your mind does when reality hits you in the face.
So how do we actually bridge that gap? We use what's called the gradual approach. You can't just jump from a dead quiet room into a screaming match and expect to remain perfectly mindful, right? You have to scale up the complexity step by step. First, you practice during slow walking, just gently maintaining that wide-open view of space and awareness. Next, you move to strenuous running, where your body is working way harder and there are tons of physical distractions. Then, you introduce high-attention tasks. The renowned teacher Daniel P. Brown used to talk about how his teacher had him greet visitors or even do computer work while holding the meditative view. And finally, you hit step 4, meditating with your thoughts. This is incredibly demanding, because thinking is usually the exact mechanism that pulls you out of awareness. You're literally learning to hold the view while your mind does its normal, chatty, conceptual thing.
To put this into clean, clinical precision, what you're fundamentally doing here is maintaining high-frequency, global awareness. We're talking gamma band synchrony here, around 45 to 65 hertz, even during complex problem solving. You are keeping that wide-open, non-dual aperture completely active while your brain executes highly demanding conceptual tasks. So you aren't zoning out at all. You're actually hyper-present. Your mind continues to calculate, speak, and process the world, but it does so within a massive, unbroken container of awareness. Section Part 1, Afflictive Emotions, Taking the Storm as the Path. We're shifting gears now from basic thoughts to something much, much heavier.
The goal here is to view intense emotions as temporary waves arising and dissolving in the ocean of consciousness. And to do this, we use a technique sometimes called the lion's gaze. Think about it like this. If you throw a stick at a dog, the dog chases the stick. But if you throw a stick at a lion, the lion looks at you. In this practice, you don't look at the painful emotion itself. You don't chase the stick. Instead, you look right at the nature of the mind where the emotion is arising. You start to see the anger or the fear as just another temporary event passing through your mind stream, rather than something that fundamentally defines who you are.
Now listen to this explicit historical quote, because it reveals so much about the culture where these teachings originated. When outlining the ultimate tests of equanimity, an ancient text notes a progression that ends with, and I quote, standing in a crowd of evil beings or even standing in a crowd of women. Daniel P. Brown actually noted this in his 1981 dissertation when translating traditional texts. For male monastics in that specific ancient cultural context, intense social situations, physical desires, and attachments represented the absolute ultimate test. If they could maintain their meditative view while literally standing in a crowd of women, that was considered the absolute peak of mastery over their afflictive emotions.
This ancient quote really lays bare the traditional progression of the time.
The old model was fundamentally based on renunciation. For those ancient monks, avoiding sexual desire, complex social attachment, and deep emotional triggering meant literally removing themselves from the world. It meant sitting totally isolated in a cave in the Himalayas. The strategy was super simple. If you don't want to get triggered, just run away from the triggers. You renounce the messy, complicated world to protect your calm state of mind.
But Daniel P. Brown profoundly flipped this ancient monastic script for the modern era. He taught a concept called partnership as path. He taught that for us, living in our contemporary world, the very conflicts of partnership are the actual material for our awakening. An intimate relationship isn't some pesky distraction from your meditation practice. It is the primary laboratory for it. Let's contrast these two for a second. On the traditional path, you renounce the world and isolate yourself in a cave to avoid your triggers. But on the modern path, you embrace partnership and you use conflict itself as your practice. We don't need to run from the messiness of human relationships anymore to find that boundless ocean of awareness. We can find it right there, smack in the middle of our most difficult, frustrating interpersonal moments.
So what exactly happens in this relationship laboratory? Well, a single partner brings up absolutely everything. I mean, everything. Your deepest attachment patterns, your most intense reactivity, your oldest psychological wounds, it all comes rushing to the surface. And the practice here is to notice the internal experience of these deepest wounds arising right in the middle of an argument. If you can hold the meditative view, you can actually feel the physiological heat of those wounds and watch them melt away like snowflakes falling into a warm ocean, dissolving completely without leaving a single trace. Which brings us to the ultimate question, right? Can you hold the view during a heated argument with someone you love? This right here is the ultimate test of the modern path. You can have this incredibly beautiful, serene meditation practice on your cushion every morning, but put yourself in a tense, triggering conversation with your partner, where that intense, fiery energy of an argument's just pulsing through your entire body. Can you simultaneously recognize all of it as empty consciousness? Can you feel the anger arising yet not become it?
Daniel P. Brown hit the nail on the head when he said, "The view is the meditation." When Sam Harris said to stop meditating, this is exactly what he meant. He meant stop treating meditation like it's just some isolated event on your daily schedule. Holding the view in everyday life is what truly remains. Whether you're navigating a ridiculously stressful day at work, dealing with some unexpected crisis, or working through a deeply difficult conversation with your partner, maintaining that wide-open awareness, that is the actual practice.
So, I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. Will your next conflict sweep you away, or will it be the very path that awakens you? The next time you feel triggered, the next time that massive wave of emotion rises up in your chest, I invite you to look directly at it. Don't suppress it, and definitely don't let it consume you. Use it. Use that very trigger as a profound opportunity to experience freedom right in the middle of the storm. Because in the end, partnership, conflict, and life itself, that is the whole shebang. That is the path. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.